Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of In the War Room. I'm your host, Tom Pepper, and joining me, as always, is your other host,
Me.
Iain
Ian
Eccleston. As always, we are brought to you by the wonderful people at Iron-Fire Tables. No, damn it.
And platters.
Iron-Fire.co.uk. That's IRON, little line, but like not underscore, like the middle one, the hyphen. And then fire, spelt like Firefest. That really great festival that happened once. And then .co.uk. Easy. You can buy tables with Douglas fir as the wood, which they'll burn and stuff, and they're made out of steel, and they're still rigid. We do this every single time, and they never move. Gah!
It's because I'm so strong and I'm holding it on the other end.
Thanks, man. Well, you know, someone's thanking you somewhere. They still have not set up a promo code, so you do not get a discount, but you can still go and buy some stuff from them. Christmas is coming up, you never know. You might want a table. This would make a fucking fantastic Christmas dinner table, wouldn't it? You'd have a big turkey in the middle. I don't know where my accent's from there. Yeah, you'd have to have like a electronic switch to like bring it.
The cost is going up.
Yeah, but they would build it for you, man.
They would, yeah.
Yeah, damn right they would. They also make bars, which we found out last week. I still want a bar, so Andrew, if you're watching this, we think a bar would go great there.
I want a Mars bar.
And if you're hearing this, what I realised last time I listened to the podcast, which is quite fairly rare, I listened through the beginning of it and realised that we had exactly no context audibly of what this table looks like. So if you are listening to this, it's big.
That's the wood. That's the metal.
That is metal.
And it's big.
It is big. And yeah, you should go there. iron-firetables.co.uk.
Table hockey. Table hockey. It's about twice the size of a standard table hockey.
It's about, wait a minute, what? Twice the size of a standard? It's a bit more than that, isn't it? How big's a standard table hockey?
That, isn't it?
Oh, what? Oh, no, yeah. Table hockey.
You thought I was saying table football, right?
Yeah. I was
way
like
bigger than that.
Thinking about twiddling my wrist. Imagine that. Ginormous.
Let's make it happen.
Make table football great again. So, as always, we are here on the podcast to talk about a few key things. We've had a pretty exciting week. Sorry for not being here last week. We got a little bit caught up with doing other stuff, which we'll tell you about later on in the podcast during the Hollow Crown update, which we won't do right now.
No.
Should we hate our leaders?
Let's do it.
Who are we hating on?
Not a leader as such, is he?
Well, he's a leader of a company.
He's a cultural leader, isn't he?
He's a visionary. And I'm a little bit begrudged to hate on him because in all other avenues of life, I quite like him. Yeah.
But this is the man that got a shitty on because he was trying to help and they didn't need his help. So then he called the guy that was actually helping a pedo.
I did love his defence to this, though. It's like, what? In South Africa, we call everyone pedos. Left, right and centre. He's a pedo. She's a pedo.
And then the poor guy who's local to us, isn't he?
Yeah.
They train over in Cheddar Gorge, don't they? And in Wales.
Yeah.
In Wookie.
Probably part of my uncle's caving club.
Probably.
Yep.
Took him to court in America because he was like, hey, I'm not a pedo and you're really famous. And everyone now is talking about how you call me a pedo. And the courts were like, no, it's cool. He can call you a pedo.
So, if you haven't guessed by now, we're obviously talking about Elon Musk and Vernon Unsworth, who, took him to court. And I thought it was a pretty foregone conclusion. I was like, you can't go around calling people pedos without...
publicly. Especially when you're Elon Musk.
It's like, this dude goes out of his way to fly to the Philippines to help some kids who are a kids' football team who were trapped
Thailand
it was in the Philippines, I think. Yeah. And they were trapped in a cave like deep in a cave, and only pro divers could get there. Elon Musk sends up the most useless piece of equipment that could have ever been born for that job. Probably great for many other things, but for this particular job, they had to go up on land a bit, and then they had to go back down into the water, and it was a big fucking heavy machine gun, like, well, submarine-y thing, big machine thing, and it just wasn't suited for cause. So, I mean, Vernon maybe was a bit harsh by saying, well, actually, I don't know if he said anything first.
He said you can stick your contraption
where the sun don't shine. But I don't know if that came first or second. But either way, Elon Musk.
I know that came first.
That came first.
And then Elon Musk said, "Oh, weird pedo guy."
Right. If that's the way, then maybe we should bash Vernon instead, because the dude's just trying to help. If people are trying to help, just help. But he thought it was a crazy PR stunt for Tesla.
I don't think I'm bashing either of them. What I'm bashing is the fact that he can call someone a pedo.
Well, no, apparently now anyone can call anyone a pedo. Yeah, does this mean
that he can walk around now and then the next time someone's like, oh, Elon Musk has done something bad, he'll be like, fucking pedos.
I heard Boris Johnson's a pedo. And Jeremy Corbyn. Pedos, both of them. A lot of them. Elon Musk is obviously a pedo. We did a calculation and found out that there's potential that he might have been a pedo. Or at least, if you divide it by 2 and then add 7, he was maybe underneath the threshold of acceptable dating.
Either way, it's ridiculous. He called a guy a pedo, and then the court's basically backed him up. Yeah. Do you think at the end the court was like, I mean, look at him, he is a weird pedo-looking guy.
Vernon, if you didn't want to be called a pedo, why do you look so much like a pedo?
I think what I was...
I feel a bit bad for Vernon.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, he must have spent a fair chunk on sorting all of that out, thinking, I'm about to make $100 million, right? Maybe 125. I think that's what he went into court for, $125 million.
Defamation, was it?
Of defamation of character. At worst, he's probably expecting 7, 20 maybe. He's gone in with a high number, might come in at a lower number. Still, fucking, if it's $1 million, it's better than fucking nothing. What did he get? Got fuck all. And he walked out.
And all he's done is make a bigger deal of the fact this guy called him a pedo.
So now, when everyone had forgotten that he was the pedo guy, everyone now remembers that he's the pedo guy.
I was I think I was more surprised that I heard about this team of British guys, because they sent 3, I think, Thai Special Forces divers, the Navy Special Forces down there, and they died, didn't they? To rescue these kids.
Was it definitely the Philippines or Thailand? I'm lost now.
I think it was Thailand. I don't know. But when they were like, oh, these British experts at cave rescue, diving rescue have gone over.
It was Thailand.
I had this image in my head of these buff guys, physically fit, like.
Is that what they do when you're physically fit? You just walk around physically fit.
I thought, and then when you see them, they're all retired. Hello. It's because these are the dudes that have the money and the time to practice diving all the time, right?
Yeah.
In a cave.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not on the to-do list of most people. There's a dark cave, I'll just go diving down there.
It freaks me out, man. I would, honestly... that's a job I don't think I could ever do. I'm not claustrophobic. I'm not scared of the dark. But for some reason, when you put a big hole in the ground that you don't really know much about, and you strap on a oxygen tank to your back, and you go down with a flashlight on your head, and now you're in the earth, and the earth moves, and things can close up, and I'm just not about that life.
No, I'm with you.
I'd fly. Give me a fucking set of wings. I would fly. I wouldn't, even a jetpack. Maybe not a jetpack, because then I'd prefer a set of wings.
I was proud, especially when you figure out that they train in the gorge a lot, and they rescued another guy over in Spain 6 months previously to that.
Yeah.
These are international blooming super Navy diver special soldiers. 60-year-olds. And I thought, fair fucks to them,
The International Super Navy Special Diver Soldiers.
Retired.
Over 60s. It's the over 60 division. Yeah. Well, either way, what this has taught us all is that we can now say whatever the fuck we want to
Pedo
whoever
guy.
we fucking want, whenever we want. And although they might contest our validity, they might contest the truth in which we're saying. Although, to be fair, we've known this for a little while.
But if you-
Politicians lie all the time, right?
If you own Tesla, you'll get away with it.
Yep. Ah, damn. Is that the only way? I feel like I can now also get away with it. Elon Musk, I like you, but you're a nonce.
You're a weird pedo guy.
Goddamn nonce. So, yeah.
Did you see the footage of him taking the Tesla truck out for a drive last weekend?
No.
He crashed it.
This is why I like him.
I know, I think he's
so
great.
good.
Like, he's bang out of order. Like, how much money does he have? He could have been like, all right, I'm sorry, you weird little pedo guy, like, have 5 mil and let's call it quits.
Yeah. Here, take a small nugget of money and sorry for calling you a pedo. Instead, I'm just going to delete the tweet, put all the lawyers that I have on bank payroll for everything else just at you for a day.
That's him though, isn't it? He's just so fucking like narrow-minded and concentrates on one thing. He's like, nah, fuck this. I've got nothing better to do for the next month. I'll fight this.
Yeah.
And I'll win. And he does.
This is what happens when you take on a billionaire, I guess. There's only one way to take on a billionaire, Vernon Unsworth, and that's become a billionaire.
Like, this guy wants to go to space. Like, he wants to put cars in space.
He's got a car in space. He's got his own Tesla Roadster flying around space at the moment with a little, like a fake astronaut.
Like, this is a
with the dome
go-getter.
suit.
And he doesn't come from money either, does he?
No.
I think he comes from, like, just a working-class family in South Africa. Like,
He's a legend.
he's
a legend. Like
maybe going after Elon Musk wasn't the cleverest thing to do.
We've called it the Hate Your Leaders section, but maybe we should change this to
Laugh at your
Elon
leaders.
Musk is awesome.
Laugh at Elon Musk section because he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's like, look at this bulletproof window.
Well,
Yeah.
I promise we tested that out before.
But yet, people still order them.
Dude, like you saw that thing about the guy on JRE, right? The Joe Rogan podcast, which
Right,
if
yeah.
you haven't heard, you should go and listen to. And he was talking about how genius it is to, like, you know, put the reserve amount at $100 so loads of people can reserve it. I mean, it ain't my bag, right? It looks weird as
You
fuck.
reserved one.
No, I didn't reserve one. But
I did.
did you? But when you get, like, say, 250,000 pre-orders for $100, you can then go to a VC and get $1 billion to make the fucking vehicle. I get that. That's fucking cool. But is it a nice car? I mean, I know a lot of people like it. It kind of reminds me of something that would drive on Mars.
It was the
Red Faction.
It was the new car from PV.
That was a great Instagram post. Shout out to Peavy.
Was that their post? Was it?
That was their post. Yeah. They realised that it looked a lot like a PV amp as well. I don't know, man. I would just prefer if it looked like an old Chevy. Or why don't they just make all cars fucking electric?
Because he wants to go to space. He wants things that look like they belong in space, right? Dude's
Yeah.
obsessed with space.
Yeah, he is obsessed with space. I hope he gets there. The only thing that I think is
If he
holding
gets there, then he can't get back. So it's just Elon Musk live streaming for the rest of his life, floating around the globe.
Hey, what up, guys? Did you see Elon?
This guy's a pedo. This guy's a pedo. This guy's definitely a pedo.
Everyone's trying to sue him, but there's no way that they can
Yeah,
get him
we're
in
gonna
court, you know. Well, he wouldn't need any money up in space anyway. He'd probably just die in a vacuum. Vacuum?
Vacuum.
He'd die in a vacuum. All right, well,
Yeah, cool.
Elon, well done, mate.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bittersweet symphony. So let's talk about the show that we went to last Wednesday. Go.
Gonna need another. Show them last Wednesday.
Yeah, that's true. This isn't really. Well, we'll call it. No, we'll just call it a live show review. Live show review.
We went to see JinJer.
Who's not JinJer?
So I was upset that Tom was forced to pay. Someone dropped out, didn't they? So I got a ticket.
So I was forced to pay.
Because I should be allowed free entry for cultural representation of my JinJer.
You definitely should. You are JinJer after all. They should have just let you in for free. But
Should have.
I think what they've done is because they've used a J instead of a G.
Oh, that's fine, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it not?
What was the Kim Kardashian line of things?
Does that mean I can create a band Wiggers with Attitude? Because it's a different letter. So
Yes.
technically yes.
We went to watch JinJer, Ukrainian progressive modern metal. I don't know what they are. Progressive
I don't
metalcore.
really know what you would call them. I enjoy it. It's heavy as fuck. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll find out what they call themselves.
They're pretty heavy.
They are fucking heavy. Like Tatiana can do something with her voice that she definitely shouldn't be able to do. And she can do it just non-stop all night. And she does it while she's smoking hot. So JinJer is a Ukrainian four-piece progressive metal band, so you were right there, with a strong hardcore and groove metal origins. They were formed in 2010 with Tatiana Shmayluk joining the guys as a vocalist in 2013. The band were acknowledged as the best metal band of the year in Ukraine. Their influences are Gajira, who you know I love, Opeth, Periphery, which I think neither of us
I don't hear any of that in them.
Meshuggah, Lamb of God, Pantera, Killswitch Engage, Death, Chimera,
Chimera.
All Shall Perish, Protests the Hero. However, Tatiana says that she really appreciates Sandra from Guano Apes and Shamaya from OTEP for being her biggest inspirations as a female metal vocalist. I won't read the rest of that. Yeah, she looks hot in that picture that I've got up here as well. Well done, Tats. So the show was supported by a band called Chroma, who were Finnish. And they were pretty cool. They were playing to track. They had some cool stuff going on.
He had some beat things, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Some
We watched
triggery
him from the
stuff.
top, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we were like properly looking down on them.
They were cool looking guys.
They were.
They looked like, if you see those three guys walking around, you're like, there's a fucking metal band, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like the same as the Agonist, who were the other support band. When those dudes came out on stage and they hit into their first riff and they were all spinning their hair around. I've actually got a video on my phone, so hopefully... I'll send it to Iain and he'll put it in there. You'll just have seen that. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, then simply go across to YouTube.
Go to YouTube and watch this.
Yeah. They were cool. But yeah, Chroma, they were really good. There were supposed to be 4 support bands.
I think we
wasn't
missed the first one.
there? We may have done. But
They were on
then I
earlier.
don't feel like anyone thanked them later on at any
Yeah, that's
point.
true, yeah.
So maybe they just didn't turn
Maybe they
up.
missed them as well.
They were on at 6.
The
They were just
Agonist,
doing the sound check. The
they're
Agonist.
Canadian melodic metal.
Yeah, like massive band.
Yeah, I was kind of, why are these guys here supporting?
I
Maybe
mean,
it's a European thing. It's a long way away, isn't it?
it is. I'm just going to check. So the Agonist band have 428,000 likes on Facebook. And I think you check their streams. They had like 2.5.
Is that more than JinJer?
That is more than JinJer, yeah. But JinJer's a big deal in the UK.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they're on the crest of a wave at the minute, aren't they?
they are. Well, the funny thing is, they're cresting a wave of a song that they released, like, I
Yeah,
guess.
so that's twice the Facebook likes that JinJer have.
I guess Pisces, which has 29 million views, which they recorded 2 years ago when Vlad joined the band. Vlad's their new drummer. So you got Vlad, Roman, Eugene, and Tatiana. Eugene's on bass, Vlad's on drums, Roman's on guitar, and Tats is on Vox. And I think that's probably the most successful thing that they've ever had. 29 million views. That's a fucking lot of views. Like, it beats our 32 that we had on our last podcast. Thank you very much to the 32
about
people.
quality, Tom, all right?
Thank you, Mum.
Not quantity.
It is about quality.
What's the quality of those 32?
Yeah. Like, well, it's my mum, my dad, my brother, my other brother, both their girlfriends and wives.
Yeah, they didn't listen to it.
No, they probably haven't listened to it. They never bring it up in conversation. Thank you, Josh and Ben, for listening to this podcast.
They're not listening to it.
Okay, I don't know who you are out there that are listening to this podcast, but thank you very much for your
Someone's listening.
For your patronage to our podcast personalities.
Yes, JinJer were very good.
So
I thought the sound was a little bit iffy. Not their fault.
yeah,
She could have been louder.
yeah, she
All the
definitely
singers
could have been louder.
though, right?
Yeah. I think that's always a bit of a problem in venues. Is last time I went there for a gig, I went to go and watch Decapitated, and they had a dude with an iPad walking around doing a sound. So he was going around to different places in the audience,
Yeah.
and he was having a little shifty, and it was cool. It sounded
sounded
great.
better.
Yeah, it sounded really great. I think in that particular venue, the Thekla in Bristol, maybe the sound desk's not in the right place because it's like in the back right corner.
There's not really enough room to.
There's nowhere else to fucking put it. You could put it upstairs maybe, but then that's going to be a bit weird as well.
They just need an iPad, don't they?
They just need an iPad.
Walk
Get an
around with
iPad
it.
and walk around a bit.
Sometimes I think sound engineers, though, they like to have their little fortress, don't they? Like to be like,
I am
this
high.
is where I am operating this and you don't know how.
Well, you stood in that crowd. You know what it's like to stand in a crowd full of people. Do you hate it as much as I do? We were like hidden at the back. It's not because we hate the people. It's just mostly just the lack of air.
And you did have that duvet on.
Why? It's because where was I going to put it?
It's a bit hot.
Where was I going to put that duvet?
Mate,
Very warm.
They'd have charged you to put it, taken up 4 pegs in the cloakroom.
Yeah. And also, it had gone missing. Everyone wants that coat. Everyone I've ever met wants that coat. So I don't leave it anywhere. So, they ain't
I
having
just
it.
want the gloves.
You can have the gloves. No, actually, no, you can't. I got one. Once this finger heals, I'm putting them back on. So yeah, they did they finished it off. They came back for an encore of Pisces, which just again proves that it's their biggest record. I really liked Judgment, which is their kind of, remember when it went all a bit ska? Bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the
you carry on.
stuff that, obviously I don't know them very well. The stuff that they said was the older stuff. Bit more hardcore-y, like, you know? Bit more like, no. That one that... Let me see if I can find it.
When she said this is an old tune, right? I thought she was a wicked front person as well.
Yeah.
There was a really nice dynamic where it seemed quite fun, right? It was like a game between Roman, Eugene, and Tatiana, where Roman and Eugene could get up on boxes, but if Tatiana got up on a box, they had to get down off the boxes, and it was like them trying to always coordinate that and remember it. So when Tatiana got up, they would get down, and when she'd get down, one of them or both of them might get up, and then when she was up, occasionally one of them might get up, maybe, but it was rare.
Yeah.
It was like a nice little... The
They had
drummer,
boxes
though,
all over, didn't they? Like,
Huh?
they had boxes all over, didn't they?
I did, yeah.
The one thing I didn't really like was, I don't know if the drums were triggered. I was assuming they were triggered, but it was just so kick drum heavy, wasn't it? The whole sound was based on it was just like a dum 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 dum.
Vlad was definitely playing it. I'm almost certain he's such a badass.
But it was just so consistent and it was so loud compared to everything else that I just don't know how you'd actually get that physical sound live.
Subkick. And a trigger?
A trigger, yeah.
Yeah.
He might have been playing it, but
it
I
was
don't
triggering
think
something
the
else as
sound that
well.
we were hearing was coming from the... And it was just so present and so perfect every time.
Yeah.
which did annoy me a bit because there was times where you couldn't really hear the guitar properly, or you couldn't hear a voice properly because all you could hear was a fucking kick drum.
Yeah. Well, you could barely ever hear the voice. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
There was one thing
true,
that was a bit of a disappointment was she has an amazing voice and it was just too low down in the mix. And you couldn't really hear the guitar that well either.
It's a small venue, though, for when I was looking at the pictures from the other ones today, and they seem to be playing bigger venues than that. So I wonder if it was a bit small for them and the sound, like...
Yeah, maybe.
You know, if you've got a singer that isn't that loud, maybe she's not very loud, and you have to crank it up in somewhere like that.
You get feedback.
It's just kind of feedback. Yeah. Maybe they just couldn't avoid it, so it was like...
Yeah, I loved their LED panels though. I also,
brilliant, wasn't it?
I really loved the fact that they had a countdown timer and then nothing happened. Like that was just, to me, that's like the biggest fuck you to people. Like you get them to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they all cheer and all clap. And then nothing happens. And then like a minute later, you turn up onto stage. You're like, yeah, we're ready to party now. So that was good.
I can't find the song that I liked.
But yeah, so it's not really a CD album or anything like that review. It's a live review. And what would you give it out of 10, Iain? Like, I guess, okay, we'll break it down into categories. What would you give the venue out of 10?
Yeah, like, it was brilliant. 10.
It's a nice venue, right? It's a great
Lovely venue.
Like, what would you give the sound out of 10?
5.
Yeah. I was going to go with about 6.
But I don't know whose fault that is, though.
I don't think it's theirs. It's never the artist's fault, right? Like, because they can't fucking hear what's going on the other side of the speakers.
Although,
did they need Terence Shepard to be their sound engineer?
I just wonder sometimes
they've
with
got
like
some spare cables.
With like
and anything else that breaks.
Like we've had this. Like I wonder sometimes if going into a small venue, sometimes you're better stripping it back.
Yeah.
And being like, you know, did they need to have the triggers? I know you've got your show and you've got it all going, and maybe it's just a case of this is what we're doing for 40 shows. We're not going to change it for one. If the sound has to suffer for that one show, then so be it.
I think it still goes back to what you said there about like just being able to replicate what you're playing, you know, like remove tracks, remove like the complexities.
Yeah, which I don't think they did. They didn't replicate the studio stuff.
No, which I think they were probably trying to, but I just feel like the balance wasn't quite there.
It's something that I find with real heavy modern guitar sounds especially, because he was like mixing up clean stuff with heavy distorted stuff. And what you don't get using a Helix or a Kemper or whatever.
Because they use Line 6 stomps.
I think they're using the big Helix floorboard thing, the big full one. Mm-hmm. What you don't get is the fucking hit. You know, if you were stood there with a clean amp going ding 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 ding, and then you switch to like a cranked Marshall, and it would be like,
yeah.
You don't really get that with modelers. It was like a ding 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 ding.
Well, it's because I guess everything's kind of like limited to that
everything's
peak
like
sound already. It's like this is what we want to output you at, and then when you hit the heaviness,
and because the guitars are tuned, what are they in drop B, drop A, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I think
You'd
it was drop
to
A.
Roman.
Yeah. Well, we did the cover, which we'll talk about, which is in A.
Yeah.
Drop A, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's drop A. So you know that's pretty low. And when you're that low, you're losing clarity anyway.
Yeah.
Then you stick distortion on top of it, you're going to lose clarity again.
And then you stick a modeler.
And then you stick it through a modeler. It just doesn't. For me, it doesn't do it live. Like. But whether that's because of the size of the venue,
it's not like two angles with a Marshall stack, is it?
Just ditch the clean, though, you know.
Yeah. Hire an acoustic guitarist for a day.
What do I like? So the problem is that when I switch from clean to distorted, there's a lack of impact. Well, let's just lose the clean parts.
All right.
Or my other thought was you're going on track anyway, and you're quite clearly using a track. Like you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah.
You're quite clearly using tracks. Stick the clean guitar on the track.
Yeah. Speaking of quite clearly using tracks, we've got a cover of Pisces, Pisces by JinJer coming out, where we've got a...
Well, it'll be out.
Yeah, it will be out. Yeah. It's out. It's out right now.
It's out now.
Go and listen to it. We made it probably look a little bit more like we recorded it live than we did.
Definitely wasn't recorded live.
No. We recorded it very quickly. It was all in a day.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind the drums, I mean, Josh hadn't listened to it really, had he? And then he did that in a day. Ben came, he learnt the parts.
2 hours, wasn't it?
2 hours later, he'd recorded it.
You smashed vocals down, what, 3-4 takes?
3-4 takes, baby. Smashed them Vox down. And then we just mixed it all up, mastered it, did a video for it. If you do watch the video, the reason why you can tell that it's not us actually recording it in that single session there, because I want to be very honest about that, because I don't think a lot of people are very honest about that. The reason you can tell is because there's not a single mic on the drum kit. And if you look at the floor of where my vocal mic is plugged into, it's actually sitting underneath the foldback speaker, which is too small for me to have ever been able to hear anything. So there we have it.
It's a nice video.
It's a nice video.
Edited, mastered.
We mimed the fuck out of it. I mastered it myself. But yeah.
So I'll put a link on the description here as well.
What are we putting a link on? Distortion.
On this video. This very video.
Yeah, this very video. There'll be another
you're on
video.
YouTube anyway, so...
Yeah, or if you're not, if you're listening to it, then all you have to do is type in Hollow Crown, Pisces cover, and I'm sure you'll find it. Either that or that TV show will continuously pop up. So then just look for... Go to our Facebook page, hollowcrown.rocks /, and you will find us. Anyway, moving on from that, I've got nothing actually. What are we talking about next? We'd kind of done Hollow Crown update as well, right? By talking about Pisces.
It's a Hollow Crown update!
Should we do metal news?
Metal news!
Yeah, I couldn't find any. Aussie's number one.
Aussie's number one.
Again.
I find he's back. He's
back. I've got to say I listened to it. I didn't think much of it.
What, Aussie's new record?
No. And I'm a huge Aussie fan.
What's wrong with it?
They were like, oh yeah, we got together, we recorded it, we wrote it. The producer's like, we wrote it, recorded it with Chad Smith and Duff McKagan in 4 days. It's like, sounds like it.
Does it?
It's like, come on, Aussie. I know, like, you might not be down for doing weeks or months in a studio anymore. Zakk Wylde could have written you 10 songs that were way better than any of the shit on this album.
Yeah, Zakk Wylde probably should have just been invited along, even in 4 days.
I think it was a bit of a
wild man himself.
I think it was a bit of an off the whim thing for Aussie.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, he's number one though, so you can't argue with status.
And this producer just knows people, so he's got like Slash on a thing. It's like, let's just chuck a few famous people on here and that'll help cover up the cracks, like. But it doesn't. Unfortunately, it probably does for a lot of people though, right?
Yeah, man.
I just don't get it. You've got one of the absolute monsters of modern heavy music in your pocket that will do whatever you want in Zakk Wylde. So why settle? You know? Why be like, oh, I'll just go work with this other guy for 4 days quickly? Because this producer guy's probably thinking, fuck, yeah, all right.
Work with Aussie.
Come down, let's do this. Yeah, I'll get Duff and Chad in. And
That'll just be 80 grand, Aussie. What? Who's charging Ozzy Osbourne at that?
Like,
it's sad.
But
it's sad. It feels like, if that's the case, it feels like just a kind of bit of a waste.
I'm a 50-50 like Ozzy and Zakk fan though. Like I like Ozzy on his own, and I liked his albums without Zakk. But for me, it's like the two of them, you know, when they get together. So it's a bit like, how long's it been since an Ozzy album, and then you fucking do this? When you could have done something with Zakk and brought it out, and everyone would be like, this shit's the deal,
The
like,
bomb.
and they've done it, and they're going to tour it next year. Like, people make funny decisions.
Speaking of funny decisions, Slayer have brought the curtain down.
See him drop the chain.
Yeah. Like, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Like,
I've never seen them.
no, I've never seen them, but now you never will. Apart from on YouTube, continuously. And probably, if you live long enough, you'll see them in hologram. On, what was that festival called? It's called, what is it? That one in America? Where fucking, it's that fucking big festival in America.
Holofest.
No, it's where they had Hollow, like Biggie. No, Hollow 2-pack. They had Hollow 2-pack.
Don't know.
Do you not know this? And it was all done using mirrors and
Lollapalooza?
shit. No, it's that other one that they talk about all the time in like hip hop. But actually, it's just
The Beyonce played.
Yeah. What's it called?
Oh, what's it called?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at in my head.
Like the biggest festival in the world, isn't it?
Maybe. Oh, it's definitely called something as well. Coachella.
Coachella, yeah.
Coachella. Finally. God,
She's
feels
like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I play Coachella.
The only thing I know about Coachella is that that guy who did that album Orange once met a dentist there, and then they went back and smoked a bong's worth of meth. Coachella, man. Only in Coachella. But speaking of Coachella, we're not playing it next year because we haven't been invited yet. Still waiting on the invites. Still waiting on the invites from a lot of festivals, actually. Summer calendar's fairly open.
Well, we've ran the calendar full. We're just waiting for the confirmations.
One of these days we'll be on a festival. Well, historical recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah? What you got? What have you been listening to of historical
What have I been
merit?
listening to on Spotify?
Of historical merit.
Bit of this.
What is it? I'm excited. I'm waiting with bated breath. I'm very tired today, actually.
Bit of Barn Burner.
That's a good album.
2010, so not sure it really counts as historical, but nearly 10
We've
years
done
old.
a lot of off.
They're not together anymore, so that makes it historical, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Check them out. Canadian, I think. Sort of punk, thrash, heavy, stoner, doomy.
They're wicked.
Just all
is
sorts
what
of
they
stuff. High energy, guitar riffs. They've got the first album.
Is it Barn Burner by Barn Burner that we first found them on?
No, I think their first album. I don't know much about them. I've just been listening to it repeatedly. First album is called Bangers. Second album is called Bangers 2.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, really good stuff. Great guitar playing on there. Some kind of Fu Manchu kind of singing. You know that like, "What do you see? Wonderful, rah, yeah, woo!" Loads of reverb on it, like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I go to a park. I do some skating. Yeah.
Just felt. Oh, it's a bit like the chats then. Thursday afternoon. It's 3 in the afternoon. Dead boy.
I don't know why. When we watched Barn Burner, that first video, I was like, these guys are definitely Australian. I don't know why I thought that.
I really.
I just remember I was like, that Australian band.
I was like the chats. I'm on Smoko.
I think it's because the video they're like running around with naked girls in the beach, aren't they? Drinking beer and driving around. I'm like, got to be Australian.
No, apparently.
Because having lived in Shepherd's Bush for 3 years, that's what I think of when I think of Australians. I think of Walkabout at like 5 in the morning, like, you're right, mate!
Do you think Australia is just a big walkabout? Is that? where we've
That's my interaction with them. I was in there once after the rugby, and this guy, he must have been about 7 foot. He walked up to me, and he picked me up. He was like, "Fuck you, mate." I was like, "Why? Why did you just say that?" He's like, "Oh, you're not from Argentina?" I was like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Oh, let me buy you a beer then." I was like, what? This guy would look like fucking John Cena.
So hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This pissed Australian dude was in a walkabout.
I'm calling him Australian John Cena.
Australian John Cena was in a walkabout after watching a rugby match, I'd assume.
Yeah,
that's the sport that they care
Well, it
about.
was Six Nations though, so
And
like,
he thought you were from where again?
Argentina.
He thought
He wanted
a
to beat me up because he thought I was
he
from
thought
Argentina.
a ginger white guy in London was from Argentina.
It was lucky that I wasn't Argentinian because I was with two mates that I was in a band with at the time, and they were like, "There's no way we could have stopped that. There's nothing we could have done, I'm afraid, Ian. You'd have just had to have taken it."
Taking the beating from John Cena. It's a DDT!
But he did. He bought me a beer. I was like, "Okay, cool." Thanks.
Well, yeah, you'd
He's
think
like,
he
"Sorry,
would.
bud."
He's
Just goes,
What was he going to do if you were from Argentina? Do you know what I mean?
They were just nuts, and they always
and
dressed
what was he
up.
expecting? Like,
Always
fuck
dressed
you!
up. Like every Friday night, and walkabouts. I think it used to close at 5 in the morning and then reopen at 6 on a Saturday. So what they would do, they'd be in there drinking all night, dressed up in like banana costumes and stuff, and then at 5 o'clock they'd all get a beer, take it out, sit on the green, and around walkabouts. And then an hour later, when it would open, they'd go back in and they carry on all day.
Oh, what a life.
Funny as fuck. Like.
What a life. What are we doing with ourselves when we're not in a pub all day?
So that's my experience with Australians.
Sit.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It would just be like, should we go to walkabouts?
It does look pretty great. I mean, if they just deal with their sort of like giant insect and venomous snake problem,
Australia.
everything wants to kill you in Australia. Australia does not
Especially
want
if you're
you to
Argentinian,
live
obviously.
anywhere near it. Yeah, especially if you're Argentinian. Do you reckon they like train the snakes to like hunt out Argentinians? Another man has died today.
Watched a ton of like dangerous snakes on the planet and spiders and stuff. Videos.
Yeah.
Olivia went through like a few months really digging that. And it was just all in Australia.
Yeah, that's because everything in Australia wants to
We're
kill
in
you.
Australia now with this, the most dangerous koala bear.
We got a card full. No, I'll talk about Australia a little more. Just gonna...
Well, I've never been. Or to New Zealand.
Where would you like to go?
I'd love to go to Australia, yeah. And no, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't want to go to Australia?
I'd probably go for a day or two. But that's a long old flight, isn't it?
It is a long flight.
I'd rather go to New Zealand. Because I know a few people from New Zealand and they're lovely.
Oh, did you hear about what happened at that
The volcano.
volcano?
Plus, like, have you ever seen a group of people
That was quick.
lose so well? So, like, England beat them in the cricket final, World Cup final, yeah? And they're all like, fair dues! You won! And then 2 months later, England beat them in the Rugby World Cup semi-finals, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, fair dues! You won again!
The better team this time, boys.
And
We'll
it's just
come
like,
back at ya.
Could you imagine? We'll get you next time. They just seem like a really positive, nice group of people.
It does
that,
look pretty
like,
great there.
I've never seen anyone lose so graciously at anything.
It's because they live in paradise.
and it's
though,
because
right?
they know that they usually win.
Yeah.
And they will probably win next year.
Yeah. They always
And the
win.
year
So, like, there comes a thing where it's like, you've got probably, like, in total, the best rugby team that has ever existed. Like, probably the most
Continuously
amount
as well,
of
right?
wins.
Yeah.
Like, you know that you're a badass nation, and you live in paradise where it's beautiful weather. There isn't as many things that want to kill you as in Australia. Yeah, I mean, I'd fail to be upset about much as well, to be honest. But yeah,
Football team sucks though.
they don't give a shit.
They don't care, no.
No. Did the football team even do the haka? That's the question.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Did the cricket team do the haka? It'd be great if they always turned up, just like ready for war. You know, it's like we're here with our, we're gonna fuck you up.
They're
There.
like the cricket team are like the least confrontational team of anything on the planet. Like
That is.
they just seem like even Williamson, I think the captain, he got the player of the tournament, and they were like, "We're giving you the player of the tournament." He's like, "Gosh, me? Oh, thanks, guys." I started welling up rather than being like, "You know what? Yeah, like this is for my team and everything." He was just completely like didn't expect it at all, even though he had like by far been the player of the tournament. Like, just genuinely seemed humbled by it, like, and a bit like when the story of who was it? Some session player, amazing session player, guitarist, and I can't remember who it was now. Anyway, they've been on loads of records since the late 80s, mid 80s probably. Loads of records, Grammy-winning records and everything. And he does his own thing, incredible guitar player. And he was like being interviewed, and he was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, you're using Roland cubes or something, blues cubes or something." He's like, "Yeah, you know, I got in touch with Roland, and they said, oh, we'll send you one." He's like, "Oh, how much?" They were like, "You have it." He's like, "Oh, thanks." And then he's like, "And they sent me 2. Can you believe that?" And the interviewing guy's like, "You're kind of a big deal." And he's like, "Me? No." I will remember who it is, and we'll post it up. We'll probably find the interview as well. Like,
Yeah.
"You're kind of a big deal, man." He's
It'd
like,
just be a picture of him in the middle of the screen. Well, I'm feeling really tired. So should we just do thought of the week and get the hell out of here?
"Okay."
Thought of the week. What's your thought of the week?
Thought of the week?
I said that I wanted to riff this whole thing, and then now that we've started, I'm so tired that my brain's just like...
Trillionaire's shortbread. Oh no, this is my guilty pleasure. Trillionaire's shortbread.
Okay, guilty pleasure is Trillionaire's shortbread.
Have you had one?
Is it
like a
different to
millionaire's-
Billionaire's shortbread?
So it's like caramel, white chocolate instead of brown chocolate, with honeycomb things all drizzled on the top.
Shit. That is quite a guilty pleasure.
It is.
I mean,
Fuck, it's delicious.
I don't know if I've got a guilty pleasure. Magnums? Punk
What,
IPA?
the gun.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't feel that guilty about owning a Magnum. Who can feel guilty
Magnum.
holding a Magnum? I feel guilty.
Magnum IPA.
Magnum IPA. What, like a
Magnum
crossover?
PI.
I don't
Okay,
know.
neither of those are guilty pleasure.
No, they're just
Like,
delicious. I guess my guilty pleasure would be, I don't know, porn. Is that? I don't feel that guilty about that either, though. My guilty pleasure would be lying in bed in the morning when you're supposed to be at the gym. There you go. That's guilty and pleasurable. Like, you know, when you pack your bag and you're like, all right, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get up at 6 o'clock and I'm gonna get straight in the car and I'm gonna be in the gym by 6:30 so that I can get to work for a reasonable hour after having done some exercise. I really like it when I hit the snooze button and then forget that I've hit the snooze button and keep hitting it, and then I realise it's 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what I like. That's what I like. That's guilty, pleasurable. Sometimes I spank my monkey while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I feel guilty, but it's not quite pleasurable enough.
Looks like I need to make this a guilty pleasure. Hand me my hand lotion.
No.
No?
No, we've never gone that deep before. We've never gone to those depths.
Well, let's go deeper in Thought of the Week. Thought of the Week. Thought of the Week. My thought of the week this week is that no one should win the general election. Everyone should draw giant penises on their ballot paper, and they should have to go and find the biggest dick to take office. Does that work if everyone in the UK drew a dick on their ballot paper?
Like, I want a dick to be in charge of the country.
Is that what they do? So you want a throbbing member?
They're all the people that are running for the Prime Minister.
Imagine all the dicks sitting in the House of Commons.
Order! My thought of the week is we were having a discussion about vegetarianism on Sunday over a roast.
Oh yeah, while eating chicken, right?
I was eating chicken, yes.
Who was eating vegetables?
My sister.
Is she a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Or was she just
and her husband.
Okay. And her husband as well?
Yep.
All right, cool.
If everyone was to stop eating meat,
Yep.
would we just have fields and fields full of cows
And chickens, yeah.
and chickens? What would we do with them?
Well, we'd have to. The thing
And
is,
they'd all be pooing and farting, and it'd be like, yeah, we've got rid of the industrial system that evolves around meat eating, but actually all these fucking millions upon millions of cows are just shitting and farting everywhere, and now we're truly fucked.
I think we'd have to.
Would we have to cull them? We'd be killing them and
have-
not eating them.
There'd have to be like a world feast.
Like a...
Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's going to be vegetarian by 2025. 2024, in December, we're having a fucking feast. Like
Then
everyone.
what would we do though? Like, what would you do? Would you have to like snip them so that they stop breeding, or like?
Well, that seems a little bit like out of immoral, right? Like surely just like India gets 10,000 and you got to manage them, so keep them spread out. If they have a baby, like make sure you just have to watch it. It's like family planning, but for animals. Maybe invent big rubber condoms for them.
However that goes,
Who would want to put that condom on?
eventually people.
What's your job? I have to
Eventually-
go around putting this Johnny on a fucking horse.
Like eventually cows would be cold, wouldn't they? And then you're just killing cows. But maybe the problem that the world has isn't in actually eating cows, or killing cows. It's in the industry that surrounds it.
I mean, they just do it in a weird, brutal way, right? Like, I think probably if there were fields of cows and a group of trained snipers went in every Thursday.
Have you ever seen a field like packed with cows?
Yeah, no, I once got fucking chased
scary, isn't it?
by a
Like-
field packed with cows. I was with Phoebe, right?
Yeah.
God bless her soul. Little Phoebes.
A dog.
The dog, yeah, she's dead now. But she was great. See her again sometime. But yeah, I was in a field and I walked in, and it was a weird fucking day, right? I was walking the dog. It was when my parents lived out in somewhere, Winterbourne, and there was this guy in doctor's scrubs, and he ran past me, right? But he was like in doctor's scrubs with a white jacket on, like he was in fancy dress, but in a field, and there was no one else around, and he sprinted past me. And at the time, I was like banging to like zombies and zombie preparation and planning, so I was like, yeah, cool. I'm still walking towards this danger, whatever it is. So I kept on going, right? And he genuinely like just like ran past me, didn't say anything, just ran, right? And I kind of moved out the way for him, watched him run off, and I was like, that was a bit strange. You're gonna keep going. So I went in, right? And then over this little turnstile little thing where they stop people from going in, I guess. And it was a big field, and it was like an L shape. There was fuck all. There was like a couple of cows in the field, from what I could see. I was like, this is fine. This isn't a problem at all. There are cows in this field. Why was he running away? Maybe he's afraid of cows. So I walked on in. There's a fucking bull in that field, wasn't there? there was a bull and about another 30 cows just round the corner. So as I got round, and Phoebe was like properly like, like getting a bit pissed off. You know? She's like, let me off the lead. I'll fuck up anything that comes near you. But either way, with a bit of like, come on, Phoebes, come on. We're all good. Looking at the cows, going, you just all stand there. You all stay good. You're all good. The bull like kind of got a little bit movie and like moved around a bit. Eventually I got out of the field after like navigating my way through the cows and through the bull and everything. I got out. As soon as I got to the other side of the gate, all the cows and the bull came at the gate and started pushing against it, right? And me and the dog were stood on the other side of it. And as they pushed, the whole gate was like, and I was like, this is quite a lot of cows. And I was looking at them, right? Cows have got dead eyes. Maybe not cows that aren't bred for meat, but cows that are bred for meat, I don't feel like they've got souls. I feel like if there's a God, he's been kind enough to remove souls from animals that are bred by humans for meat by this point. Because you can see a soul in a dog's eye. You can see a soul in like maybe a wild animal. When you're watching David Attenborough.
See a soul in his eyes.
You can see a soul in, well, not so sure about that. He's a bit old now. Old soul. But yeah, I don't think that any of them had a soul. They like just had this like stare on them as if they just wanted me to feed them or something.
Or they just wanted to feed you.
Or maybe. Maybe wanted to feed on me.
Do you know the trick to cows? This is from Linda.
Isn't it? You grab them by the ankles and flip them over and then they can never get up.
What, cow tipping?
Yeah, I've never done it.
No, you have to lift your arms up and shout, "Shoo, cow!" So me and Linda were out for a walk with Olivia on my back, and we came to this, we got stuck in this field, and there was about, I'm going to say like 25 cows doing what you were doing, stood at this gate. I'm like, what the fuck are we going to do? How are we going to get over? Because it's 2 hours back that way, or it's an hour that way, and I don't want to walk another 2 hours with Olivia on my back. I got to go that way. I've got this, Linda says. Just do what all the farmers do back in Ireland. It's easy. I'm going to lift my arms up and shout "shoo cow" really loud. I was like, that's absolutely ridiculous. It's not going to work. So she walks up to the gate, lifts her arms up. She goes, "Shoo cow! Go on with your shoo cow!" And they all turn around and leg it. I was like, no fucking way.
So hold on. What we're saying is the way to stop cows is essentially what happened in Team America. Shoo cows! Act, Gary.
So we legged it, and then we got through the field, and we were on the other side, and these cows were just running around the field about 2 laps of the field, going running around, and then they just stopped. She was like, "Told you, just get some rallied up, and then they want to run around a bit."
Well, fuck, I didn't know that. If I'd have known that at the time, does it work with bulls as well?
I doubt it. She tried it. She did try it again on the hill outside my house, and she got chased.
Right. Okay.
So I think it might have just been that particular pack of cows.
I mean, I've like getting trampled by cows. Just looks like it would suck, right? They look heavy as fuck. But here's my top tip for if you are being chased by a cow. I've never done it, but I'd imagine it would be badass as fuck. Is as it runs towards you, turn round and backflip, and then land on its back, and then ride that cow to safety.
More people are trampled to death by cows than hit by lightning every year.
Not that many people are hit by lightning a year, though, right? Like,
I know, but
okay, all right, cool.
Usually, there's something like 90% were farmers, though.
Do you
Which
reckon
you
they
think
just get a bit trusting?
If your job consists of being around lots of cows, you're probably more likely to get trampled by them, right?
Yeah, but farmers are lunatics. I love farmers. There was a story recently about this dude who I think he got caught in a machine that he had, and he was on his own, right? And he ripped off like a leg or an arm. It was one or t'other. He ripped off a leg or arm, and he crawled his way in the mud to a phone, conscious, right? He'd ripped off a whole leg or arm, something like that.
Well, probably a
Or
leg if
foot.
he was crawling, right?
Yeah, probably a leg. And he crawled his way over to the phone, and he managed. He's a fucking hard dude.
And he ordered
right?
a pizza.
No, he managed to ring. He didn't ring the ambulance. He rang his cousin. So he rings his cousin. His cousin comes, puts him on the back of a fucking Puts him on the back of a quad bike.
Mate, my leg's gone. Get down here quick. Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. An hour later.
Yeah.
What's going on here then? You've lost a leg. Yeah, I know. That's why I called you. Heifer's looking good, isn't it?
Get on the back of my quad bike then. I'll take you to hospital.
Can I have a hand?
Yeah. Farmer's great.
When I was running around Draycott, 2 farmers came down on their quads. They were like, "Oh, go there! I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, cool." Didn't understand a fucking thing they said. Carried on running. They're like, "Right." The other one's like, one of them's like, "We're just moving the cows, so can't run down there." It's like, oh, all right, I'll stay here then. I'll stay here and wait. And like a lot of cows and hundreds of them come storming down into the farm and all that. But they're chatting. He's on his phone. She's like, "Oh yeah, missus, yeah, anniversary, innit? Wait, oh yeah, what you doing? You take her to IKEA. Yeah."
Hey man, you can't fucking argue with an IKEA 16 meatball dish.
Just farmers, like, they're just so like, don't give a fuck, do they? Like,
No, they're great. I love them. They drive around Cheddar with like fucking shotguns on their fucking quad bikes.
in like tractors from 1920 with no license plates on. It's like, there's no way that's legal.
No. Police ever pull them over though. They wind down the window and go, and the police officer's like, "Sir, do you know how fast you were going? And do you have insurance on this vehicle?" Right. All right. This is a warning.
You know what? Where are you going? Down the road, down there, down the farm down there.
Only ever drive it between here and that farm there.
Thing is, then
It's all private land.
they're
Isn't
just
it?
drunk. In the mornings, they're like, "Oh, hello, dear. Yes, how are you?"
One of the best things about living in the countryside is seeing how many people just get pissed and drive around.
Cider barn.
Yeah.
Like-
If I was a police officer, right?
Like 6, 7 in the evening, there'll be about 40 cars there and the place is rammed. Yeah. 11 o'clock, there's 3 cars left. So, you know, all those people that are in there getting pissed, coming out, jumping in their cars and driving.
Yeah. I'm only going down a minute down the road. Yeah. Here's to being British.
From the country.
Right, so there we have it.
Thought of the week. That's it.
Podcast 8.
Farmers
Elon Musk.
don't want you to go vegetarian because they'll have to hire snipers to kill cows in their fields.
That is a good thought of the week. Snipers. Like, no, I'm not going to even say that out loud. It's not. Okay, did I have a thought of the week? Did I do a think?
You did, yeah.
I can't remember what it was. So tired. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on what was probably
A ramble.
the best episode so far of In the War Room. Join us next week when we will discuss other things such as Connecticut and something else.
And Red Death's new album.
Red Death's new album. That's what we're doing next week, isn't it? You're quite excited about that. I still haven't listened to it. I'm gonna. I put a new door on my car the other day.
Sword without sheath.
Is that one of the lyrics?
Yeah.
Sword without sheath means you got to like claim blood with it, right? What happens if you buy a sword without sheath? Do you have to stab the person you've just bought it off?
Let's talk about this in the next podcast
All right.
while we discuss Red Death. Sword without sheath. Red Death. Yeah.
Cool. We've been Ian and Tom. This has been In the War Room. Thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Oh, we're going to bed.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego. And remember, keep on fickety fucking.